when it comes to maybe breaking things down and in terms of strong individual performances, right? When we're looking at this roster, these 34 players, and in terms of young prospects, this is a team that walked away on their draft day with a number of picks, right? Several, I think 5 or 6 or even 7. Um, where we can maybe highlight a player here, but I don't know if I'm going to go with that draft pick right away. I think it's easy to say like, yes, Naomi Girma. We've talked a lot about this player. We've interviewed her right alongside others involved in the San Diego Wave franchise. But I'm going to be going with Amira Ali. This is a player that this club acquired in a trade with Portland Thorns alongside Kristen Westphal, right? In this sort of kind of expansion draft agreement kind of trade. Like there was going to be a move that was going to be made, and San Diego wasn't going to choose, certain starters or forwards. And there was a lot of like little, stipulations in place. And then we learned that it was, for Kristen Westphal and the player rights to Amira Ali. And this is a player coming off of an impressive collegiate season herself, spent time with Rutgers University. You're talking about a forward who still has a very high ceiling, right? Was a part of a big run with Rutgers University during that 2021 Challenge Cup run that they made. 12 goals, 6 assists over 25 games, with Rutgers. So I think there's a lot of forwards with a lot of big names, right, on that line. And there's a lot of forwards for San Diego that have a lot of NWSL experience, which you also want as well when you're developing a new expansion for SI, whether it's somebody like a Katie Johnson or a Mackenzie Doniak, right? But in terms of having this sort of young, nothing to lose, kind of everything to prove forward, I'm absolutely going to keep an eye on Amira Ali for young prospect. Are you looking at anyone else?
I mean, I think you have to look at Amira Ali. It's a great look, especially because it'll be her first time getting minutes in the NWSL. And I know you gave some slack earlier about picking the number 1 draft pick or whatever. Yeah, I'm going to go with Naomi Girma because she was the number 1 draft pick. And and she's a defender. But I think you have to, because she was the number 1 draft pick, she's going to have a little bit of pressure on her to perform and to be one of the best. I mean, I think if I put myself in her shoes, if you are the number 1 draft pick and you're a forward that scores a lot of goals, you might have a lot of pressure to be the rookie of the year. As a player like Naomi Girma, I think she almost has less pressure on her because she was the number 1 draft pick and she went to an expansion side with Casey Stoney in San Diego, played at Stanford from Southern California, like has a lot of ties there. I think it's a really, really good fit to help her prosper personally, right? And on the pitch. I mean, there's a lot going in her way, but she also doesn't have that much pressure on her to perform on the pitch because as a defender, despite going number 1, yes, I hope she starts. And I think we will see starts and minutes from her, but it's not necessarily expected. Whereas maybe a forward that goes drafted number 1 and goes to a team, you want to see them start. You want to see them score goals. You want to see them do all these things. So I'm really excited for Naomi Girma because she's a player that I think has a lot of want and will to learn and do better, and putting her in front of players like Kaylin Sheridan, who is extremely vocal in goal, will help Girma grow. Putting her alongside a player like Abby Dahlkemper in the back line will help Naomi Girma grow. And alongside Kristen Westphal in the back line, Tegan McGrady, a player that just won a national championship. If Naomi Girma can tap into all of these players and learn a little bit from them and just play soccer every single day, look to make a difference on the field and look to learn every single day, Naomi Girma is a player that we could see towards the end of the 2022 season being like, yeah, that's a lockdown defender for San Diego. So I am going to keep an eye on her and we'll see what happens. We'll see how the 1v1s go in training for San Diego between Ali and Girma. See, who does better. Defense always wins. Woo-hoo.
We love talking about defense here on Attack and Third, and that's not going to stop with the young prospects. In terms of experienced players, who's going to be that essential experience player for this team, right? This is an expansion side. They're building something new for the first time. They've got a ton of players, right, that they're looking at across their rosters, across all the different lines positionally. I'm going to stick with an international player here, though. I'm going to be going with Sophia Jakobsen in this one because I think it's very easy to maybe point at someone like an Alex Morgan, right, who's like we talked about, being a part of now 3 different clubs in the NWSL, part of sort of launching these expansion sides as they get their first seasons started in this league. But I think somebody like Sophia Jakobsen is going to bring a little bit of a different type of experience to this franchise as they look to sort of take their first steps in NWSL. Like we said, she's a Swedish international. She's going to be joining San Diego Wave FC via Bayern Munich. And you sort of see a little bit. We had an interview with her, Lisa, where she talked a little bit about that. And I hope folks either listen to that or they can go back and find it. But, she was only with Bayern Munich for 6 months before deciding, you know what? I am going to make the leap to this expansion side in NWSL. She's a 31-year-old player. She's got a lot of experience both in the international stage and throughout various club levels. And that's why I think she's going to be a player that they sort of lean on a little bit in terms of her experience, because it's a different type of experience.
I think that's the biggest point you have to make, is that it's not NWSL experience, which there might be a bit of a learning curve for Jakobsen. However, I don't think so. I think because she does have all of this worldly experience and she's played against NWSL players, NWSL teams, the United States women's national team, because she's a Swedish international. She has all this experience. I think it will benefit her, that she can use it all to kind of harness a different type of game for herself in the NWSL. I agree. A huge player to watch for sure.
I think that also sort of segues a little bit into our international spotlight, right? Highlighting big international players for clubs during these previews. Will their impact be felt? A, and B, will it be a loss if they head off to World Cup qualifiers? And I think Sophia Jakobsen is another player that we can sort of keep in this. But, this is an expansion side that has a number of international players who are likely going to be missed should they find themselves participating in World Cup qualifiers throughout different moments of the 2022 season. You have a number of United States women's national team players, right? Whether it's somebody like an Alex Morgan or an Abby Dahlkemper. And then obviously on the Canadian international side of things, and somebody in Kaylin Sheridan. So a number of international spotlights here for San Diego Wave FC as they start to really take the first steps into becoming what is an NWSL side in this league. We got to look, we're not trying to recycle here, but there are 2 expansion sides coming into the fold in 2022. So we are asking a similar question of San Diego Wave FC as an expansion side. Our biggest burning question for them entering the 2022 season: can they break the expansion team curse? There has never been an expansion side that has entered the fold of the NWSL and then gone on in their first season to crack a playoff appearance, or even gone on to win a title throughout the season. Can San Diego break that curse? When we had their projected finish in 2022 for our way too early power rankings back in December 2021, we placed them a little bit low, Lisa. So I'm going to ask you, how do you have them finishing in 2022?
So at the end of the 2021 season, we placed them number 10 in these standings, which is actually pretty good because it's not a bottom 2 spot for an expansion side and 2 expansion sides. That would be 11 or 12. When I look at this team and this roster and everything that they've established so far and how their preseason has gone up until this point, I think they're looking pretty good. I mean, they have a lot of good players. They have a lot of good talent that they're bringing together. I think they have a good idea of what they want to do and what kind of team they want to be in 2022. Frankly, yes, I think that they will break that mold of being an expansion side and not be stuck at the bottom of the table. I think that this is a San Diego team that could really surprise clubs in the 2022 season. I'm putting them higher. I'm going to go out and say it. I have a lot of my eggs in the San Diego basket. I do. It's It's something that I want to see them succeed. For some reason, I have no ties to San Diego. I've been there like once or twice for soccer tournaments, but that's about it. No ties there. I just think that I really like their colors and I like their crest that they have going. I like the wave. I like the
Yeah.
sound of that. And I really like Casey Stoney. I do. And I like the roster that she's established and the culture that she's establishing there, as kind of this secondary California team, I'm going to say, because Angel City is being this LA powerhouse and they
Yeah.
have all these investors, and San Diego is also a California expansion side, but
Yeah.
they're kind of taking like
Think
the
they might
back.
have a little bit of that chip, you think?
I think they have a little bit of
Okay.
that chip. So I'm gonna put them higher. I'm gonna put them pretty high, like 5, 6, 7, like right
Give them
on
a
the
range.
bubble of playoff contention. That's where I'm putting them. Sandra, what about you? Are they gonna break this mold of being an expansion side?
I don't think that's unfair to have. I think having enthusiasm around an expansion site like this is normal. I think a lot of people have a lot of enthusiasm about it. I like the moves that they made. I really love that this was a team that really kind of burst through the seams and
Mhm.
really kind of made allocation money work for them. I want to see more of that from clubs. I love their number one overall pick in Naomi Girma. I love that they went defensive versus, maybe
Oh,
more attacking type of a player. There's a number of things that I can look through in their offseason that I am a fan of, right? Sort of watching this sport and following this league and covering this league. But that being said, I am a little bit in disagreement. I think it's going to be a struggle. I think with the introduction of two new clubs going from a 10-team league to a 12-team league, we're starting to
mhm.
see what I think we were waiting to see for quite some time, that there has been a little bit of a leveling out, right, of some of the competition in terms of the talent pool in this league. And I think that's only going to make the league more competitive. So in that sense, it might be more of a struggle to try to break through into a playoff position, even with the expanded playoff format. I'm in agreement about Casey Stoney. I think if a coach can do it, I think it can be her. We saw what she did with
Okay.
Manchester United, right? With women overseas and Women's Super League, taking a franchise, making them fully professionalized, getting player buy-in, right? And getting performances and getting results out on the pitch. But it is very, very tough to do that in NWSL and sort of maybe compete with some of these other things. So I'm going to be in disagreement. I think we're going to go 1-2,
So
right?
Sandra, I think this is the first one that we've kind of not disagreed, but we've had differing opinions on, and we've
I'm
picked different standings. I like this.
Listen, I'm with it. I think you're looking more middle, upper half of the
Yeah.
table. I'm looking maybe lower mid, lower half of the table for this team. And honestly, it's not a bad start. It ain't last place, right? So
Not last
we'll see
place.
what happens. We say it all the time. We love to come back here and be proven wrong. I think with a little bit of differing of opinion, we can come back and maybe have some, some celebrations and who's correct or incorrect, whatever. But that's what I'm looking for in 2022. I know that no matter what, I'm just gonna have a good time covering it. And I'm here for it. I'm here to see San Diego AFC make a splash in 2022. Count them up. We'll see how many puns dropped in this one. You got to crack the dad jokes when you can.